Welcome back to the channel. Today I've got a Nintendo Switch with no power. The listing on this one said there's no power at all, doesn't power on. It's got all the screws, looks like the original screws, and it doesn't even look like they've been taken out. The back is nice and clean. The screen, I don't see any scratches on it, so it's in really good condition. I have an idea of why it has no power. It doesn't even power on, and I'm thinking because it's not charging. And I'm thinking it's not charging because the charging port is most likely faulty. Let's get it under the microscope and take a look. All right, here we are under the microscope. And yes, you can see those pins there are bent, all mangled up there. Hopefully we can get in there and just replace the port and not have to replace anything else. So if there's anything, yeah, pins all mangled up there. It's not going to charge with pins like that, right? The port itself is, yeah. Clasp is okay, but we're not going to get any connections with the pins looking like that. Hopefully we didn't short anything out inside, but let's open it up and we'll take a look. Inside the case is kind of dirty, not unusual, but there it is. You can see the little fan spins out there. Actually don't look that bad on the inside. We can see that foam hasn't been ripped at all. The good sign has been opened, although adding some heat to that, we can take it off without it being ripped, but we actually look pretty good inside here. Not too bad. We'll get it under the microscope and we'll get the motherboard out actually, and then we'll get it under the microscope and take a better look at it. I'll show you what I mean here. Hot air is at 180 degrees Celsius. Just kind of frying it up a little bit at a time. So heat up the glue on the underside of it. Take a different angle here. There we go. Okay. Foam is not ripped at all. Got that. Intact. No foam on the board. Alright, let's take it apart. All right, we've got the motherboard out here. Really clean. I'm gonna put I'm gonna put my multimeter on it. See if I can find any shorts. Hopefully there's none. And then I'll go ahead and change that port out. See that here, it's really clean. Let's jump in and take a little closer look. This is the original port. Doesn't look bad. It's got still soldered on well, but we know from when we looked at the inside earlier that this thing needs to be changed out. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. We'll get set up here and change this thing out, and we'll test it afterwards. All right, so I've got this thing hanging off the end of my bench here. I'm gonna pump up my hot air station to 480 degrees. How's it go for me? I'm just gonna remove this thing. I'm gonna add a little bit of flux here to help with the flow of solder. Here we go. What I really want to do is get the solder melted underneath well enough so that when I pull this port off, I don't rip any pads up. I don't want to make this worse than it already is. There we go. Port is out. Actually not melted that bad. Well, yeah, it is. Doesn't matter though, we're changing it out. All right, I'm gonna put a little bit more solder on here. Or I'm sorry, I'm gonna put a little bit of flux on here. Actually, I'm gonna put just a little bit of low melt on here, just to make cleaning up a little bit easier for myself. Get some of this old solder out of here. We'll mix it with the old stuff. Just a touch. Like that. Lower the melting temperature of what's already on there. It'll help me to remove it a lot easier. Having a little bit more flux. Flux is your friend. Friends can play along too. Get some of this old stuff out of here. Hot air, 180 degrees. So I didn't clean it while it was, so I'll warm up the board a little bit here. It'll make removing this flux a little bit easier. 180 degrees is not going to melt solder, so seems like a good temperature to loosen up some of this tacky flux. Okay. Now, get it with a little 99% isopropyl alcohol. Throw some fresh flux on here. in the pads with leaded solder. I'll add some to these holes. Adding a lot of solder to these, but I'll clean it up here. Just need a little bit more flux. Flux is your friend. Yeah, will do. Next step will be adding the port. I'm going to heat this thing up from the bottom, drop the port in, and hold it on. Just waiting for the solder to melt under the pads, around the pads area. See those anchor points have melted, but I really want to see that solder melt around those pads. You've got to be ready before I put this port on. If not, this kind of defeats the purpose, in my opinion, of this method. See that anchor point in the top right there hasn't quite melted yet. It's almost there. Looks like it's there. Pretty close. I want to be sure here. Okay, here we go. Dropping the port in. Setting it down in place. Making sure it's down. Keep my hot air moving because I don't want to melt it. Moving the hot air. Holding down the port. Holding. 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 Just gonna give it some time. Don't want it to come up yet. Really want those pins underneath to be connected, soldered well, and I'm letting go. All right, and that's it. I'm gonna take my Q-tip here, see if I can get some of this off while it's still hot. I'm gonna pull this out of my board holder. I'm gonna check the pins to see how good we are. If we are good. Hoping we are. We're about to find out, huh? Actually zoom in a bit here. Light here. I mean, we don't look bad, but let's double check. Anything loose here? Good. 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 All right, I think we did good. All the pins are nice. Let's look at the back side. If we've melted it all. I don't think we did, but you never know. A little bit. A little bit, but look at those anchor points. Those are in. Those look good. That's not bad. Need some cleaning. Look at the inside. Oh, nice and clean, huh? Nice and clean. No bent pins. Looks like they're sitting down nicely. Okay. I'm gonna clean this up a little bit. Get some of this flux off here. We'll put it back in the case and we'll test it. All right, we've got our new port in, nice and clean here. Well, cleanish, cleaner than it was before I cleaned it. Anyway, let's put it back in the case. All right, I've got my switch cable here with my amp meter here. I'm gonna plug it in. Back's still off. Let's see what happens. Get anything on there? We might, had I plugged it in. Didn't plug the battery in. All right, let's try it again. This time we'll put it under the microscope. Something up here. Move it back on. All right, here we go. Plugging it in. Let's see what happens here. Anything? Why are we getting nothing? Over there. There we go. Charging. Ah! And look at this. Battery. That thing's charging. Whoop, whoop. But why didn't it work the other way? Let me double check this. Ah, it does work the other way. Okay. Yep, and it's charging. And the battery light's on still. Right there. That works. Nice. So, what had happened here was the charging port was bad. We replaced the charging port. We're now getting a charge. We got a battery symbol on there. We'll let that charge up a bit, and then we'll fire it up and make sure it's all good. That's it. We did it. We fixed a switch. Somebody says that it has no power, it won't power on, and that's basically because it wasn't able to charge. The battery eventually dies and you can't turn it on anymore. Somebody tries to power it up and it will not power up. Somebody tries to charge it, it will not charge. Well, that's because the port had some bent pins in it. I don't know why you're holding that up, you can't see it, but the port had bent pins in it, not making a good connection with the charger, and it just doesn't work anymore. This is like a under $2 for one of these things. It just takes a little bit of work to put it on, to replace it. And then the switch is back to new. Well, back to working and being able to charge again. So that's it for this. I think we're good. I'm gonna finish testing it up and finish charging it up, and then get it back on the market, hopefully. See you guys in the next one.